Hi, it's Brett Sankis, the Right Brain Business Attorney, and today we're doing a what's the difference between. In this case, it's what's the difference between a business broker and an investment banker. These are two roles that show up if you're selling a business. One of these two people, one of these two roles is going to help you sell the business. So business brokers and investment bankers fundamentally, in this context of mergers and acquisitions, do the same thing. They're really very similar. They will engage with the seller of a business or a buyer, but that tends to be there's less work on the buy side than there's kind of the sell side. Kind of like real estate these days. A lot of people do their own sort of looking around. It's the same thing in searching for a business to buy. A lot of people will look online and spend time on it and things like that. At the higher ends of the market, there's more bespoke advisory services to go find a business. But here we're talking about if you're selling a business. If you're selling a business, you need someone to help you market the business for sale, to prepare the business for sale, to advertise it for sale, to find buyers. And so business brokers and investment bankers both do that. They are salespeople. They market your business for sale. They help find a buyer. They help solicit offers for the business, negotiate those. At some point that gets kicked over to the legal team to work on due diligence and documenting the deal. But the business broker and investment banker is usually a business seller's first point of contact. So that's the deal. They have very similar roles in the world. Now, investment bankers operate at a higher end of the market. They represent usually larger companies. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, they have big M&A, merger and acquisition advisory teams, and they can do billion-dollar deals. Business brokers tend to operate in what we call Main Street or the lower middle market. So call it, a couple $100,000 up to 10 million, something like that. So investment bankers will often have securities licenses. They'll have to sit for exams. The Series 7 is an exam that every stockbroker and every investment advisor and most investment bankers will have, even analysts at a lot of the big investment banking firms, because they're often registered broker dealers. They're often placing securities, helping companies go public. They're doing a lot of things differently than business brokers do. But that's a whole different part of the investment banking firm. When it comes to M&A, what we're talking about, it still is about advising businesses on how to sell, how to find a buyer, and things like that. But investment bankers will deal with larger issues. They'll often be licensed because of other things going on in the firm, or because a lot of those deals at the higher end of the market are marketed as mergers and stock deals, where arguably, or depending on certain state law, you may need a license as an investment advisor. Business brokers, that would rarely be the case. I mean, it's all state-by-state licensing, and there's some federal stuff, but the point being, there's a difference in terms of the licensing. There's a difference in terms of how they talk about themselves. Investment bankers often will market companies under a direct kind of negotiation approach. So they'll develop a hit list of here's the different companies that might buy your company, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, and then they'll go out and approach them directly. Whereas business brokers will take their listings kind of like a realtor and put them online. So there's different ways they do their business. Investment bankers fancy themselves more important people in the world. I mean, no offense, investment bankers, but it's a more exclusive job. But some of that comes from just the context and the money, and then the terminology around it, because again, they really are doing very, very similar things in the world from your standpoint as a seller. So if you have questions about investment bankers, business brokers, anything else about mergers, acquisitions down in Main Street or up into the lower middle market or beyond, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a line, give me a comment, but happy to help if you have questions about M&A.